The 4 hours we're most likely to see rain and possible storms. Plus, we're not done with icy cold temperatures yet. Wind will wake up to the 20s.
And we're live in the WRAL storm tracker as this potentially severe storm moves through the area. We'll show you what we see on the roads.
Missing for a week. What we're learning about another Amber Alert, this time issued for a teenager from Siler City.
Let's talk about this weather tonight. So it's been a pretty nasty afternoon. I think we could say that. On the left side of your screen there, a live look over Wake County. You can see from the radar on the right side of your screen that storm is coming through our area right now as we speak. Thank you for joining us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Dan Haggerty.
And I'm Ashley Rowe. The rain is going to stick around in our area for at least a couple more hours. It's packing rain and wind. Our team is on top of it tonight. Aaron Thomas is in the WRAL Storm Tracker with a live look at conditions. Carly Haynes is in the live center with a bird's eye view of the roads. But let's start with meteorologist Kat Campbell.
Kat, go ahead. I'd hate to interrupt you, Kat. You know more than I do.
We still have some rain moving through. Sorry about that, Dan. The good news is the lightning is over and the strongest winds are over for the evening, but we're just not done with the rain yet. So you've got to keep your umbrella handy. Chapel Hill, you've got one more downpour that's about to move in. Just a couple of spotty showers left to the west, but the bulk of the rain, this is kind of that second round, is clearing out of Raleigh. It's still in the northeastern part of Wake County at the moment. And it would just be these spotty showers left to move into Wake County over the next hour that are in Chatham County. But the bulk of the rain is now east of the Triangle and pushing east of I-95, just a little bit left over. Once we get to 8 o'clock, I think we'll be pretty dry around the Triangle, but we still have some showers in our eastern counties through 9, maybe as late as 10 o'clock tonight. By midnight, everybody's definitely dry as we head into the overnight hours, and we're not expecting any kind of overnight rain and thunderstorm threat. Something interesting to point out, on the backside of this system, the North Carolina mountains could see a couple of snow flurries. I wouldn't expect that to be widespread. For us, we get a little temperature dip with this front, but a much stronger front is on the horizon. I'll let you know how quickly we drop from the 70s down into the 20s coming up.
And this is Aaron Thomas in the WRAL Storm Tracker, currently just leaving at Capitol Boulevard, headed towards downtown Raleigh. Traffic moving ever so smoothly. We did just pass a bit of a fender bender. We did see some traffic delays as it was related to weather, but just be mindful if you are on the roads, you will see some slick spots. Back to you.
Thank you, Aaron. This is Carly Haynes in the WRAL Live Center. We are tracking 2 different crashes on I-40 right now. This is right near Rock Quarry Road. We're seeing several lanes of traffic blocked with some activity up here. Raleigh police present at the scene, and then we're also seeing some flashing yellow lights there, so be aware, high impact at that road. And then also I-40 near Reedy Creek. This has been going on over the last hour. We saw a car with a damaged hood, now seeing some tow trucks out and about and some police officers there. Doesn't seem to have too much of an impact to traffic, mainly over on the shoulder there, but be aware if you are headed out on I-40.
Yeah, that doesn't look great. Thank you, Carly. Stay up to date on the weather by downloading the WRAL News app. You can sign up to get push alerts straight to your phone on storms heading your way. It's a free download.
Important story here. We're on top of some breaking news in Siler City. The search continues as we speak for this 15-year-old girl, the subject of an Amber Alert that you got on your phone today. Haiti Fernandez. She was last seen wearing jean shorts and a red shirt that had a bear on it at the time. WRAL's Monica Casey spoke with her family, who are, of course, desperate to get her home.
Haiti Fernandez's family is shaken up and scared. They last saw her at 8 o'clock last Thursday night and notified police she was missing on Friday morning.
If someone knows something about her, to tell us, because me and my brother and my sister and my mom are worried about her.
According to police, Fernandez may also have a Jordan Matthews High School laptop with her.
I'm worried and frustrated because I don't find her, and also I'm nervous and scared.
One question I took to the Siler City Police Chief, why wasn't this Amber Alert issued sooner? Chief Brian Reagan tells me when they were first called by Fernandez's family Friday morning that she was missing, the situation did not meet all of the criteria for an Amber Alert. Since then, new information in this investigation does meet the criteria for the issuing of that alert. He could not comment on what that new information was. The SBI and FBI are now working on this case here at the Siler City Police Department. Reporting in Siler City, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
So thank you to Monica. We do want to, point out that this case is one of 2 Amber Alerts this week, both involving 15-year-old girls. The other case was out of Harnett County. She fortunately was found today in Virginia Beach.
We're not sharing her name at this point or showing you her picture because the Amber Alert was canceled and because she's a minor. WRAL reporter Sean Gallagher asked if the Harnett County Sheriff's Office case and the Harnett County case could be connected to the one in Siler City.
Had a surprisingly similar Amber Alert go out today out in Chatham County and Siler City. Any reason to believe that it's connected to the case that we're talking about today?
So there is no reason that I'm aware of at this time to believe that there is any connection between those investigations.
So you heard it there. The Harnett County Sheriff's Office charged 2 men in this case, both facing human trafficking charges.
Very serious charges. We could spend time sharing their names, giving you the full list of charges, all the rundown. And if you want those details, we have them. They're on WRAL.com. But tonight, instead, why don't we spend a little time talking about human trafficking. Between 2023 and 2024, the North Carolina Department of Administration helped more than 700 human trafficking survivors. The worldwide number when it comes to this is really unfathomable. U.S. Customs estimates more than 40 million people.
It really is staggering to look at that. Enforcement does appear to be on the rise, though. Between 2012 and 2022, the number of people convicted of human trafficking in the United States nearly doubled from around 600 to 1,100. In North Carolina, state lawmakers passed a law last year requiring human trafficking awareness training for people who work in lodging and vacation rentals. The votes were actually unanimous in both chambers, and the governor signed it almost immediately.
Again, with these cases, we don't know what happened to the 15-year-old girl in Siler City, where she is, how she got there, who was involved, if anybody. But we should let both of these cases just be a reminder of what can happen, and that all of us should be looking out for our youngest neighbors.
Yeah, not just in public places or in our neighborhoods, right? The digital world plays a huge role in this. That same FBI agent that you heard from at today's news conference, he talked about this as well.
It is important for parents to be engaged in a meaningful way with their children and how their children are interacting on the internet. That can look like a number of different things. That can be having conversations with your children about who they're talking with online. It could be running through scenarios about the types of interactions they may find in the online space. It's worth noting our children are extremely technically savvy, oftentimes maybe more so than we are. What they lack is the world experience and the decision-making skills to understand consequences of these sorts of engagements.
Kids are protective and defensive as well when they're being questioned about this sort of stuff. Parents have to be nosy. You just do. There are a lot of great resources to learn about human trafficking on North Carolina's Department of Administration website.
Here's the information for the National Human Trafficking Hotline. You can also text 233-733 and you can chat with an online specialist. These advocates are available 24/7.
All right, let's shift gears a little bit now. So it feels like every time you look at your news feed, there's something in there about DOGE and President Trump's efficiency efforts. And right now, this is a federal thing. But what if it took hold at a local level? Some North Carolina Republicans are working on it. WRAL's Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie has the story.
Polling shows us that Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency is politically divisive. It is extremely popular among Republicans, and GOP lawmakers here at the State House are hungry for the chance to emulate it. Democrats are wary about what that could mean. It's the first time the House Oversight Committee has summoned the heads of executive agencies to explain how they make life better for people in North Carolina. Committee Chairman Brendan Jones said it's about greater accountability.
That's why we're here. To oversee, to ask what's working, what's not working, and why not. We want to know if North Carolinians are getting what they paid for.
Everybody's excited about DOGE. Okay. Well, most people are.
Representative Brian Echeverria asked every agency head whether they had any DEI staff or programs or were using DEI practices. A new House committee that has not met yet will focus specifically on issues like that.
We are excited here in the State House, and we're going to be having our own DOGE. The question is, can we expect your full transparency and cooperation with the people of North Carolina when our DOGE committee begins?
And I don't know anybody that's excited about DOGE.
Democratic lawmakers like Representative Zach Hawkins were less enthusiastic.
A member to my left brought up DOGE, and so it makes me think about some of the cuts that are going to be happening and some of the North Carolinians that will be impacted.
Laura Leslie, WRAL News, Raleigh.
One of the big cuts we could see at the federal level is at the EPA. The agency could lose more than half of its staff. If that happens, then what? A former EPA administrator explains who will have to step up after the break. President Trump said this week his administration could cut 65% of the staff at the Environmental Protection Agency. It's just the latest of his moves away from using the federal government to tackle a changing climate. So, if the feds dial it back, now what? Today, I spoke with a former administrator of the EPA. She says states, local governments, and private organizations will have to step up. Joining me now is Gina McCarthy. She is a former EPA administrator, a former White House climate advisor, and the managing co-chair of America is All In. First of all, Gina, thank you for being here.
Great to be with you. Thanks.
First, let's start with the op-ed that you wrote for the New York Times this week. In it, you criticized the Trump administration for the prospect of cutting the EPA staff by as much as 65%. It had me wondering, you painted a pretty dire picture, and it had me wondering as we try to look forward, are states and local governments capable of effectively picking up the ball if the EPA is cut?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think not completely, because EPA, has about 18,000 employees. Cutting 65% will cut them off at the knees without question. But EPA is the only agency that really is supposed to take the laws that Congress passed and implement them fully. And so we're filled with experts in how to do that. And so I fear that, short of that, we're going to leave states and cities hanging, not knowing how they can protect themselves and their communities. And so that's, a challenging and pretty daunting task for anyone to pick up. Now, EPA actually gives 40% of the money that it receives from Congress to go to states and cities. So there is a partnership there, but they need the money. They need the resources. They need to build up their capacity so that they're partners with EPA in managing the challenges that we have.
I just want to run through a little bit of your bio here. You led the EPA from 2013 to 2017. Then you became the first White House National Climate Advisor under former President Biden. But you did spend much of your career at the state level, so you're speaking with experience there. First, I want to ask you about what you see as being the most urgent climate policy that all states need to adopt.
I think the most important thing right now is for those states and cities to keep building coalitions together, to keep looking at their opportunities to fill in the gap when the federal government doesn't want to act. And so we are working with mayors all across the country. We are working with governors, and we are working to make sure that they look at where those gaps are and understand that there are ways of filling it and moving that forward. Now, which are most effective? It depends on every state for what they need to do. But one of the things we know we need to do is to protect ourselves from climate catastrophe. That means we have to be fully prepared in every state and city to tackle the cleanup when there is a climate event that happens, but also do their best to explain to people that we need to start building differently. We need to start building our infrastructure more effectively. And so there's lots that we need to do and can do, I think, but it needs to happen, a lot of it now, at the local and state level. Much of it, I hope, will be supported through funding for America is All In and others. I know that's going to happen, but certainly you can't leave EPA out of the play area here. I mean, they got to be active and engaged.
We should mention that McCarthy will be in North Carolina next month. She's speaking at Wake Forest University on March 25th. You can hear more of our conversation during this Saturday's episode of On the Record. We're continuing to tackle the question, what's next after the federal government makes cuts? And not just with climate change, but in other areas as well. So tune in this Saturday at 7 p.m.
What's next? That is a big question, Ashley. Thank you. All right, meteorologist Kat Campbell joining us now. So we've had the rain tonight. We also have some cold temperatures on the way.
We've got a little bit of everything in our 7-day forecast to talk about. The one thing we don't have is snow, not a repeat of that from last week.
Good.
I think most people are happy to hear that. But rain and thunderstorms end by 10 p.m. at the latest tonight. For many of us, that chance is already over. We do have some lightning with those showers that I was showing you earlier in Chatham County. They were more spotty at first and separated, but they're trying to come together in more of a line. So we're not done just yet. 7 o'clock through 8 o'clock, we could still see these showers and storms push into Wake County. In our eastern counties, that band is starting to clear out ahead of the cold front. But once this front has passed, and it's passing as we speak, behind it, we'll be done with the rain and storm chances, though the mountains could see a couple of snow flurries tonight on a pretty isolated basis. This front brings a little cool down tomorrow. We're going to be in the 60s instead of the 70s and 80s for highs. But front number 2 is going to be a much stronger front. It doesn't have the moisture to work with, so I'm not expecting a bunch of rain with this secondary front for the weekend, but it is going to bring a sharp cool down. We're going from the 70s to the 20s just in the span of our weekend. And we start the risk of a freeze Sunday morning. Everybody in purple here with the risk of a freeze. The hard freeze threat likely to be closer to southern Virginia. But we're under the threat of a hard freeze by Monday morning. 26 our low. Tuesday 35. So it's the risk of a frost and or freeze 3 mornings in a row, Sunday through Tuesday. A heads up if you have any kind of sensitive vegetation that is already blooming. Over the weekend, it's pretty nice. We've got sunshine, we've got dry weather. 62 for the high tomorrow, a little cooler behind the front. We had 80 in Fayetteville today, 77 in Raleigh. Saturday looks like a gorgeous day. It's going to be warm, it will be breezy, 71 the high. There will be an increase in clouds late Saturday with that front, and then Sunday temperatures drop about 20 degrees, the high just 50, and much cooler than that in the morning and evening. If you're headed out to the playground tomorrow, it should be a great day for it. Make sure that your kids are dressed in their hoodies or jackets, though, especially in the morning. 45 degrees at 8 a.m. by noon. We're at 59, low 60s during the afternoon. So it ends up being a beautiful Friday afternoon, just not quite as warm as it was out there today. Highs are in the low to mid 60s. Don't forget, if you suffer from seasonal allergies, get going on the allergy medicine. We're likely to see high pollen levels again tomorrow. We saw a little rain today, but the wind will really pick that pollen up and disperse it through the air. So we're just getting started with pollen season. Saturday, 71. Temperatures really cool down early next week, but by the middle of next week, we bounce back into the 70s. That warm air translates to energy, and in spring, that can sometimes translate to strong storms. We're going to have to be on the lookout for severe weather in parts of the southeast next week.
All right. Thank you, Kat. So, you know what they say, the news is always spinning the story. Well, how about a news story that does all the spinning by itself? 2 people from Raleigh in a national sign spinning competition. Yes, that is a thing, and we're going to meet them coming up next. That's our one last thing in just a moment.
How interesting. But first, let's get you ready for the weekend. The rain will be gone by then, so here's what's going on out and about.
One last thing for you tonight. You know those people, you see them all the time. They spin the signs on the side of the road advertising for a business nearby. It's kind of cool, kind of distracting, and I wonder, does it ever actually work, what they're trying to do?
They got talent, no matter what. And either way, spinning takes skill. Did you know that there's a national competition for it? And 2 people from Raleigh are going to be in it. This is Freedom Dubenian. He is the guy spinning the sign. He spins for all kinds of companies, home builders, mobile phone companies, special events, you name it. He'll head to Las Vegas next weekend for the annual World Sign Spinning Championship.
Did you see when he kind of messed up there and did that little foot flip?
I didn't notice that.
That was great.
Okay.
So I talked to Freedom a little earlier this week, and he told me for the businesses that hire sign spinners, they actually seem to work quite well.
The majority of the people that are coming in are usually saying, wow, the sign spinner's doing such a great job, or where did you guys find this guy? I hope you're paying him enough. So the majority of the customers that come in and see us, they mention us as soon as they walk in.
He told me that the businesses that hire spinners report seeing more customers when they're out there doing their thing. And as far as not being able to read the spinning signs, you might say, what are the, they are tough to spot. Freedom says they do stop and hold them from time to time.
Yeah, that's got to be hard on their arms, right?
I know, they're like athletes, right? So it can be dangerous too. They can get what they call spinjuries. That's what he told me. He says that's what they call them in the business. They call them spinjuries.
Yeah. The competition is next Saturday. We got to find out how he does, okay?
Oh, definitely. We'll be calling him back. Hey, thanks for being with us tonight. We'll see you back at 10 o'clock on Fox 50 and 11 on WRAL.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and Spectrum channel 1257.